Everybody, hope you guys are having a great Friday. It's finally the weekend. That's great. Reminder, I have all my plays listed on truedfs.com, all my ownerships. Sheets has got his sheets up that people have been crushing. Join as soon as you can. We have a 2-week free trial going on right now. So if you don't like it, you can just jump right out. If you do like it, stick with us and let's make some money together. Anyway, with that said, let's get into my plays of the day. These are my 5 and 5. I'm going to highlight my 5 favorite plays. Now, there's a lot to go through on this giant slate. So I'm going to start it off. I'm going to have a little bit of chalk in this and a little bit of off the board stuff. But starting it off with Corey Seager, I like the Dodgers in general. They're my second favorite stack on the slate behind San Francisco. I think Seager's price is still too low. I love him in Arizona. I want to take a look and make sure that roof is going to be open. But even still, I think at 4,800 in a great spot for the Dodgers against a lousy pitcher and a bad bullpen behind them, I think it's a really good spot for the Dodgers to go off. I know they kind of let a little bit of DFS people down, even though they did fine in Colorado. But I think that this is a good spot for them. And I love Seager, especially. He's my favorite play on the Dodgers. Next, I want to jump over to Toronto. I am not as heavy on Toronto stacks as I am on some of the other stacks, but I do have a little bit of it. And I like them better on FanDuel. It's easier for me to fit them in. But I really like Vlad tonight. You get a fairly low-owned Vlad on a big slate against Bailey Ober and a bad bullpen behind him. Really hard not to have interest in Vlad, who's been the best hitter against right-handed pitching in baseball this season. And I think he's an awesome one-off. I think you can get there with some of the pitching value and hitting value we have out there. Next, we're going to jump over to the Orioles. A guy who I talk about a lot, but don't usually have him featured on my plays is Austin Hayes. Austin Hayes, I keep saying it. I think this guy's a stud, and we're catching him on the way up. I think he's getting better and better. I do like the Orioles in general as a stack. I think that their value makes it really interesting. Hayes, Mancini, obviously, if you can get Mullins in there, that's great. Severino at 3.1, probably batting in the middle of the order of that lineup. Even guys like McKenna, depending on whether Jamal Jones gets in there, there's just really cheap options that make it easier to play these other stacks if you do want to pay up at pitching and play the Dodgers/Giants. Speaking of the Giants, let's talk about Brandon Belt. Absolutely awesome historically in Coors, one of the most underrated players in baseball in general, and he's playing in San Francisco. Pretty much the biggest stadium upgrade you can have. Love Brandon Belt. Don't mind paying up for him. You can play he and Vlad. I have that in my first build on FanDuel. And on DraftKings, you can't play them both together, but I do love Brandon Belt. He's my favorite Giant. I love Posey as well. Those are the ones I find myself using the most, but I really like the Giants in general tonight in Colorado. I don't think that's going to be a surprise to anyone. Next, on the other side of that game, you have a really cheap Rockies team. And look, Alex Wood is projected to be the starter right now. It's not that he's bad. It's that you have a Rockies team that's everybody's going to play. Like I think Hampson and Cron will stick out with their prices. But I'm talking about if we want to pivot off of Seager and maybe play them both together on FanDuel, Trevor Story. I think that at 4.3 is just way too cheap. Massive upside, awesome against lefties, awesome at home. I think this is a really good spot to get Trevor Story at cheap at 4,300 on DK and reasonable still on FanDuel, even though he's a little more expensive percentage-wise of your ownership. But those are the guys who I'm focusing on. As of right now, I do have my favorite stacks as the Dodgers, Giants, Baltimore, Colorado for value, and then the Yankee one-offs. I really think I think at least one Yankee, maybe two, hit a couple home runs today because I like their matchup with Eovaldi and a good, interesting game that means a lot in Boston today. So that's what I'm doing, guys. I hope that you guys all have great luck. I will see you guys at 6 Eastern for those of you who are on part of the channel and everything. And yeah, let's crush it today. Good luck, everybody.